Welcome and hello and welcome, guys. Welcome and hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me on an extremely special edition, a very special Sunday edition of Un Poco Mas. Guys, that it is the day of rest, but there is no rest for the weary and also no rest for the chubby. We're working on a Sunday night, guys, in a storm. We're getting her done for you. I wanted to talk about a few stocks about the events in Venezuela, about what we could expect. Perhaps that'll do with gold, oil being the obvious one, but I think its effects will be seen far and wide, just in terms of stability and instability. But I really don't know what to make of that one yet, because I think he's a very bad guy, and I think he's bad for the hemisphere, bad for the world. The narco trafficking was a big thing, but then also you kind of see their interest in oil, which I know obviously Trump and the America and our thirst for oil. It's not like it's just Trump, but the whole thing still runs on oil. The whole world still runs on oil. It's the lifeblood of the world economy, world trade, development and everything else. And it's easy to talk about EV and go on and on. But the reality is, the Exxons, the Chevrons, the Halliburtons, these companies and this resource is still extremely integral to the entire world. And it's not just cars, it's not just what you think about, jet fuel. It's all sorts of other things that are petroleum based, whether it be, plastics or medicines or, building materials. Just infinite stuff is made out of, oil and petroleum products and the byproducts and all that other stuff. So, I can't really analyze what's going to happen yet. Obviously, I'm just not smart enough. And, on the macro and international relations, there's all kinds of things going on behind the scenes right now. The party that was in power, kind of the apparatus, was like kind of an interesting. I've actually studied how things kind of worked in Venezuela. It's like a two-track thing. There's like a couple people controlling the political civilian side and a couple of people controlling the military side. And they have like 10 times as many generals and admirals as the United States. They got like 10,000 generals and admirals or something. And they all kind of divide up the country into these little sectors of grift and drug trafficking and, align themselves. So I think he's a bad guy. I think, maybe it was a good decision to go in and take him out. I don't know. Time will tell. Does this lead to instability, more stability? Does the rest of these sort of bad actors we're warning, like Denmark and Mexico, kind of fall in line, or do we attack them next? I don't think it makes very much sense to sort of use military force to go after Greenland. I mean, Denmark is a NATO ally, and Denmark was there fighting right alongside us in Iraq and Iran and a lot of different places, or Iraq, I'm sorry, both times. And, not Iran, that was a slip of the tongue, but in any case, guys, yeah, Jimmy Carter was all on his own on that one. But what's going to happen with this? What does it mean for a stock like Prop? I think it could be very good for some of these domestic producers. A stock like Halliburton, Energy Transfer, any of these offshore drilling companies. Of course, ExxonMobil. There's already talk of them. Revitalizing, quote unquote, the Venezuelan oil sector, which I think kind of means, going out, but they're talking about sovereign wealth. They're talking about restructuring sovereign debt. They're talking about the debt on the oil industry, all these other things. So this is so fresh. It's so new. We have no idea what's going to happen. Trump reiterating, we're in charge. Rubio sort of backpedaling on that. We want to, transition. It usually doesn't work when a outside power kind of tries to run a country that's very much like Iraq or something, where it's been run by this dictator in sort of a grift, and it's been divided up, and they maintain power by selling, basically powers for sale. They keep the regime in line with money, violence, coercion, threats to family, all these other things. And that's been very prevalent in Latin America, since the dawn of politics. I mean, it's a difficult political place. There's not democracy has not really taken hold. It's always kind of been, wrapped up in all kinds of other things. Anyway, guys, I digress. I don't know what the hell's going on down there, but I want to talk about some of these stocks. Let's talk. Richard Vaughn getting juniors here. Anthony Noto is a machine. He likes to deliver right on schedule. Couldn't agree with you more on that one. But let's see. I'm going to go back to the top so it actually makes sense. Let's talk some SoFi. We're going to talk SoFi. Richard, Jimbo Roofer. Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. What's going on, Jimbo? Jarrett Matson. Go Seahawks. What's up, Jarrett? Let's talk about Anthony Noto has our back. He indeed does. Let's talk about how we can own more than 20,000 shares we bought when nobody would even. I know, man. I own so many shares of SoFi. I can't even believe it. I pinch myself sometimes that I bought a lot of those shares down in the 4s and, in the 5s, some, but just, this is one of those ones where my conviction just never wavered. And basically at the very bottom, I was just buying shares with everything I could. I'm very happy I did, but they don't always work out like this. But I think SoFi is going to all-time highs. I think SoFi is going to be way up before the next ER. I think it's going to go up like at least 10% from here. I told you what was going to happen with SoFi. I mean, when they rolled out that offering, I said, what's going to happen? It's going to fall way down, way below that offering price. And then it's going to very quickly recover to that price like a magnet. And then it's going to go way back up past that. And, so far, 1 and 2, check. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Step up in the place. What you gonna do? But no, this is gonna go up. It's going one way. SoFi. The knock on SoFi that it's this traditional bank is just ridiculous. SoFi blends an older business with a newer business almost perfectly. The older part of their business that is still very forward thinking, tech driven, branchless, etc. That lending aspect of the business makes a lot of money. It doesn't prevent them from doing anything else in tech, in loan platform, in fee-based, and higher margin, but there's no reason to sort of throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are aspects of that traditional banking lending business that you can make a ton of money. And it's just extra profit on top of all the tech stuff and on top of all the B2B stuff and the higher margin stuff, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with being, a very successful lender. I mean, I think the notion that, they're making tons of money on these personal loans, can't have that. Fuck you talking about? What are you, a moron? I don't get it. I don't get why, this is the one I want to talk about. I want to thank those of you who got me into this stock. I don't have that much, but I'm already up a ton on it. I don't know. I bought it. I think I jumped in the 3s. It was like low 3s. Then somebody was first talking about it. So I'm like, okay, some rando on YouTube mentioned it, so I'll pick up some shares. Why not? Anyway, this stock's going crazy. There's been a lot of speculation about their P3 because they need 80 events, which basically means 80 people in the study die. So they have a big enough sample to then proceed to the statistical analysis, become unblinded. Now, there's been 72 people died, 72 events, but it's taken a lot longer than they thought it would. So the natural speculation, the inference you draw is that the medicine is working and it's keeping people alive a lot longer. Now, they don't know which people are living longer, but it wouldn't really make sense to think it'd be the placebo arm because they kind of already know, what to expect in terms of life expectancy and survival and stuff in that group. So you wouldn't think placebo would change that, power of positive thinking or whatever, but that's just not how it works. Either the medicine works or it doesn't. So the speculation is that the chances of approval are looking really good, in which case this company would be, I think, tremendously undervalued. Like what I'm reading from the experts are saying, hey, this should be worth anywhere from like 12, 15, 20 with FDA approval. There's all kinds of speculation. People are, it's already cleared this area. So, people are thinking resistance here at 544. I honestly think, resistance is more 785, 790. And I think it could easily pop up to that level very, very quickly, like even this week. I think that the way this stock is set up, it could double this week. And, why do I think that? 2 words, guys. And, if you got your hand down your pants, you already know what I'm talking about. It's a short squeeze. It's a little game of pocket pool. It's a little Mike Gallegos to Glenn Hubbard double play, if you know what I mean. A little small ball, little Oakland A's middle infield, circa the 1980s. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? Little Mike Gallegos action. Know what I mean? Anyway, so Let's take a look at the short interest here on Celis. And guys, I'm just bringing this one up because it's new to me. It's a little bit interesting. I've talked about SoFi till I'm blue in the face. I got more SoFi shares and ChamWow and Noto and Payush. I have, well, not Payush. Nobody has more shares than Payush. But if you look at the live short interest, they shorted the hell out of it again on Friday. 1.7 more million shares. So they're short 36% of the float. And when this goes live, that even kicks up to like 37, 38, 39%. They're saying 29% over here, but don't buy that. Look at the cost to borrow, guys. The cost to borrow on it just like a couple weeks ago was 16%, 19%, 15% as you go back. And just on December 26th, this jumped to 105%. And now it's sitting at 128% cost to borrow. And that short is worth now 152 million. So as the price goes up, it just puts more and more pressure on the short, on the cost to borrow, forced to cover, margin call, etc. More demand on shares, no shares available. And that's how a short squeeze happens. And this is almost, you know, the definition of that type of a setup. Let's look at this SLS real quick here. So let's take a look at the institutional ownership. It's only 26%, but it's obviously been increasing quite rapidly. It was just, 5 million shares, and then it's up to like almost 40 million shares, 38 million shares. So very, very rapid increase recently. Taking a look at the insider ownership. I haven't really looked at this stuff, guys. So it's only, it's not great. And I think that's why they've been able to push this thing around so far. It's the insider sentiment score is pretty good. Officer sentiment score also pretty good. Let's take a look, and you'll see this fund sentiment score. And obviously you can see that reflected here in just the massive, 7 times, 8 times increase, 7 times, whatever it is. I can't do math, but I'm really dumb if that isn't already pretty obvious, in addition to being just strikingly handsome. Don't be fooled, guys. This U-turd camera adds about 115 pounds. I'm really about 6'5", 220, six-pack abs. Look just like Ben Affleck without the huge forehead and dumb, glassy gaze. Facelifts, Botox. Oh, 3 marriages to J-Lo. All that other fun stuff. All that other good Affleck baggage you've come to know and love. Let's see. What else have we got here? Who else have we got here? That would be even better to say. The great Governor George Wallace. Why would SoFi be doing their earnings on a Friday? Yeah, I think honestly, no, I don't think defaults are up. I think I think, Noto could be trying to really put the fear of God into some of the shorts that are left, some of the, people playing retail with options. Obviously, OPEX is on Friday. That has a lot of implications for how they control the price action. I quite often say, if you have a brain in your head, you're basically going to want to buy calls at the low on Friday, which will be about an hour and 15 minutes before the close, roughly, maybe an hour 30, hour 15, somewhere in there. And then you want to sell those at the pop on Tuesday, which will often be, sometimes it'll be, 10 minutes after the market opens. Sometimes it'll be an hour and a half before the market closes. It just depends. Before that little push down sell off they usually do in the last 45 minutes to hour on SoFi, even on up days, like you'll see SoFi up about 5%, then it'll often close, just up like 1.5% because there's a big push down at the end. But you can often hit like a good 10% swing and make 60, 80, 100% on your calls in just 2 days. But you have to play that Friday to Tuesday, a little dipsy-do, little small wang express, if you know what I mean. And I think you do by the looks of things. Saw you stuffing that cucumber down your pants before the show. You're not even on the air, just insecure. This makes you feel better there watching at home, having that cucumber down your pants. I hear you. That's comforting. Think about the one that got away. What could have been? Your Uncle Rico could have won state. Could have gone to prom with Gail. Anyway, I don't know. Neo stock down 5.5% in Hankang right now. Well, Jordy Sanders. Or should I call you Debbie Downer? Okay, I'll have to take a look at that. Buying the dip on Sofi, never done me wrong. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there, Jared. Management has been as steady and as solid as any company I've ever seen. They're executing like crazy. The business model's amazing. There's only upside in that business model. There's only new stuff. There's only upside. Everything they're doing is absolutely crushing. Consumers love it, but there's infinitely more things they can do. They can add business to business banking, more stuff with the members. They just sell stuff, right and left of these rubes. Great credit scores, great incomes, upwardly mobile entrepreneurs. It's all there, guys. It's all there with Sofi. Sofi built a better mousetrap. People love it. All these other FinTurd companies can't touch it. And I just love Sofi. It's my forever stock. It's my Rushmore. I love Anthony Noto. He's my biological father. I love windbreakers. I love great hair. Like I said, I love softball interviews with, older female financial reporters in pantsuits just asking softball questions. Anthony, your skin looks so refreshed. What are you doing? Like I'm doing a ton of Botox there. Oh, thank you. No, I don't know. Yeah, the trucker hat. Yeah, IOVA. We're gonna talk IOVA. I don't really have any news, but I'm gonna, blow some hot air up your ass anyway. Where's the lurker? I have no idea. He's AWOL. He's AWOL. We're gonna get him. We send some military police out to find him. They're gonna get a little jeep. They're gonna bring him back. If you ever seen the movie Stripes, like when Rick Moranis was doing that little, or Bill Murray was doing that little spatulas thing on the woman's butt and the stove, giving her a little hot, what do you call that thing? A little hot spatula treatment. Oh, Billy Jack, you're my rock, Billy Jack. Viva Venezuela. Viva the people, man. All these people, everybody gets shit on. Everybody, all the powerful people. And I'm not against the rich or anything. I'm not one of these people, taxes. The rich, most rich people, I'm not really a big fan of like the Walton great grandkids who are all worth $20 billion because their, great grandpappy Sam started some hardware store in Bentonville, Arkansas or whatever, selling mattresses to chickens. Anyway, whatever, dude. That's the world. Like, there's always going to be haves and have-nots. People were born with more, people were born with less, people who go out and achieve, people who go out and try, people who don't do shit their whole lives and just sit around and complain like a bunch of big fat Karens. I, of course, am the latter. Probably a proud Karen, like proud Mary, proud Karen. Anyway, guys, I think this thing is just set up to run. I think shorts were caught completely off guard. I think the cost to borrow, the short ratio is just completely unsustainable. And I think institutions are presently rushing in to buy shares of the stock. Retail's rushing in to buy shares of the stock. The fund sentiment score confirms this. They're just shorting the hell out of it every day, trying to, step on this rally, trying to say, don't look at what's happening here. Don't believe your eyes, believe the shorts. Does this thing, does it have that much upside? Does that mean, you're going to get FDA approval? Of course, once they actually get the 80 events, and this takes months to kind of go through the data, decipher everything. Cutes, could you not poop in the office, please? Could you at least go on your pad? Gee, the dog is over this rainstorm. She don't dance. Cutser don't dance. She's like, nah, I ain't going outside. I'm getting my tootsies wet and getting my Christmas dress wet. Ain't happening. You can carry me out there through those puddles, fat man. Maybe I'll take a pee if you set me down gingerly on the lawn, then carry me back. She ain't having it, dude. Cutes run shit. But anyway, so I see a lot of parallels, and there's a lot of volume in it too. I see a lot of parallels with IOVA. Now, IOVA, one of the things I really like about this, what I also like, is just the level of price fixing. I mean, you can see they've fixed the price in this channel basically between $2 and $3, and more so, it's been between $2 and really $2.50 all the way until just a few weeks ago. And this is sort of the only sustained breakout up to $3, rejected at $3, and this insane candle just drove the stock all the way back to 250. And I would submit that was a lot of shorting. Now, whether it showed up that way yet in this data, it doesn't always show up. Like logic tells me certain things happening, and then the data will catch up with that a little bit later on when the official reports come out. It takes a few weeks, but you see very similar. If you saw what the short percentage was on the live short interest on SLS, I believe it was exactly 35.9. I might be off there, but I believe it was exactly 35.9. The difference is you see their short interest of free float was like back down to 29 on this side. This has to catch up because SLS, it just ran. They just started increasing the short. So that's why you see the discrepancy, I think, in this data. You also note IOVA cost to borrow less than 1%, SLS 120%. So if you're looking for a short squeeze, IOVA has no juice right now. SLS has all the juice, at least in terms of stuff I'm talking about. And I think prop is really going to move because I think people are getting a good sense, okay, oil price goes up, there's upward pressure on oil price. Yes, they've hedged about 80% of their production, but that still leaves them exposure to that upside. So that'll still move those estimates up. It'll still, make it more likely that they pay a dividend sooner. Their EBITDA, everything's really going well with this stock. I think the criticism of the transition that they didn't get things online fast enough, just totally unrealistic. You bring, two organizations together. You have a much smaller organization acquiring a larger company. I think they've done very well. I think the production is looking really good. I think there's going to be plenty of cash flow to buy their way out of this dilution. I think the banks that they work with will help them buy their way out of this dilution. I see QT ready to take a massive dump right on my office floor here, just kind of pacing around, circling, looking to get into some type of butt drag situation. A little Humpty Dumpty, if you know what I mean. Know what I mean? Regardless, it'll be interesting. It's a record breaker. 18, interesting. What are you guys talking about? Wow. 18 cents. My bull case was like 16 cents. I was looking for about 15. What if they do 18? I think that's game over. I think if they do 18, they can't step on it. There's no way they can step on it with that type of run rate. I mean, that really would validate everything they're saying about EPS in 2026. I mean, it really would. Everybody, those numbers are crazy. It's going to be 47 cents. Well, no, it isn't. It's going to be exactly what Anthony Noto said it was going to be. Because the guy can predict the future. He's got crystal balls, my friends, crystal balls. I say Prairie was up, but that's kind of a joke because, realistically, this stock under $2 is like, even if you hit the full dilution, this market cap is still way too low. I mean, even if you multiply this thing by, 4 and you said the price would be what, $7.40 or something, that's still too low for what this company is going to be. They're going to be spinning off a ton of free cash in a couple of years. A ton of free cash. They bought these assets wisely. The question, I don't think, was whether they bought them. It was like, these are dry wells. These guys aren't idiots. Just because the one guy was with one company that went bankrupt at some point. Grow up. This is the real world. Your underlying asset crashes in this game, you're done. You timed it wrong. You got caught. You got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. You got caught with your tiny wang in the mousetrap. It happens. Snap, snap, clack back. Pry your nuts out with a thumbtack. You know that old nursery rhyme from Disney? Gosh. Anyway, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But right now, guys, would I buy SLS into this run? I would, because I'm an idiot. And I chase and I lose. And I buy the top and then I sell the dip and I smell the rip. Because, I'm a hopeless piker. I'm a gambler. I'm a chaser. Yeah, I know I've lost rent money this week, but let's just do like a 10-team teaser. I'll make it a parlay. Who needs the points? Push the odds from like 1 to 100 or 1 to 1,000. It's almost a sure thing. Yeah, let's get the Raiders in there. They never lose. If I never bet on the Raiders, I'd probably my stock portfolio would be like double what it is right now. Because that put me so behind the eight ball with my capital. A lot of ill-advised sports betting back in the day. What did I tell you, jerks? Sell Palantir. Oh, it's really going back up. Never mind. Sell Palantir at 200. Now that was still a good move, but looked like it might have been a really good dip to buy there if you could have got in below 170. Just recovering like a mofo. So 5 tech stocks to bring gains to your portfolio. I just think the company made like $1 billion last year or something, a $400 billion valuation. I mean, I know the growth has been pretty crazy. They made 1.2 on 530, or that's quarterly. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the insane part is they made more money last quarter. Oh no, I'm sorry. They made 528. They made 1 billion last year and they made 528. So it's like double the run rate. 1 billion all of last year, and then this year they're already 334, 404. So their EPS growth is very, very strong. I know they're printing a lot of stock-based compensation, so you have some dilution there. It's a crazy beat, but I mean, you're talking 21 cents per share, and people are saying, SoFi could be making 15 cents a share, and you're talking about a share price of 30 versus, 175. You're talking about growth. Palantir has, more growth top line, obviously way more growth recently in EPS. You just can't argue with Palantir's performance. It's just the valuation, pearl clutching, hand wringing, head scratching, thumb butting. You don't want to know what thumb butting is. It's like when Frank and Charlie were playing earthworms. Oh, Paymentus took a big shit, as did Clavio, the Quidia Corporation, AppLovin. Oh, AppLovin was way down. Polestar. Didn't Polestar go bankrupt? Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see what some of these others. Somebody was saying Neo was crashing here in the Hong Kong over on the Hang Shang. You guys selling Shang? You got any Shang? Digging up Shang? You got a garbage can full of Sang. It's worth like $1 million. It's got these hay seeds running all over, digging up Sang. Got some guy down at the store with like millions of dollars in cash just buying Sang. Yeah, so Neo, people are talking a lot about the swap network, about CATL. They're mistaken. CATL's swap network is not just heavy equipment. That's one swap network. They have a completely second swap network on the Choco system where you can use one battery, you can use 2 batteries, there's different capacities. And the criticism from Neo sort of was that these are air-cooled, they're not as safe, but CATL, I think, responded, throwing down the gauntlet and saying, hey, we're bringing in these sodium, whatever they are, sodium hydride, I don't know, sodium something batteries, which are going to completely eliminate, the risk of fire, all the danger with the air-cooled battery system. And other people are like, well, this is only for little economy cars and taxis. This won't work for full-size passenger vehicles, SUVs, pish posh, hogwash, because it will. This system will work for anything. You can put 2 of these Chocos in there, drive you crazy like no one else. Drive me crazy. I just can't help myself. Drive me crazy. I can't help myself. Little Fine Young Cannibals. Drive me crazy. No more else. That dude was like a male model or something, that Fine Young Cannibals guy. Was that even the guy singing? Looked kind of like that, like a lighter skinned dude from that Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation video. Maybe he didn't. I can't even remember what he looked like. Anyway, like trying to do that falsetto. I can't help myself. Anyway, we haven't really got into Danny Oki. Christmas Eve, babe, and the drunk tank. Old man said to me, won't see another one. So happy Christmas. Sorry, guys, sending a text. I love you, baby. See a better day. Anyway, enough of me. I can't even stand myself. I can imagine how you guys feel. Seriously. It does drive you wild, Jared. I know. Got you a crazy girl, maybe a redhead. Loves that long hair, that backwards baseball cap. Thinks your band's going to break any day now. Do a little two-man show, a little post-up play. I know what you're talking about. Neo should have took off 6 months ago, but the market sometimes just can't. I mean, fundamentally, yes. But again, SoFi didn't take off until well after they started making gap net profit, really take off. I think Neo is going to go absolutely nuts because I don't think they can shake, retail off this stock. They couldn't shake SoFi off this stock. They want to own 80% of these stocks before they really run them up. They do not want you to make money. They hate you. They hate your tiny wing. They hate everything about you. They hate your whole ethos. They hate you right down to your core, your flabby, unstable core. You big mashed potato. You big twice-baked spud. You big sopapilla. The bottom is in SMCI. You want to talk charts? You want to talk sharts? You want to talk about a clean pair of chonies? Yeah, the bottom's in. Stock's up 6%. It's going back up pre-market. SMCX paid me a huge dividend. I don't even know why. Yeah, the bottom's in. This chart's wacky. The chart is just wacky. Look at how many times it went off this level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th test of this level. Come on. This 27, 28 level. I mean, sometimes it goes down here to 27. Sometimes it stops here at 20. But the bottom line is, ever since that first initial, tiny wing Hindenburg, we've got a tiny wing report they did. There's nothing wrong with SMCI, but let's project our tiny wing insecurities onto management. Uncle Chucky's doing just fine. I go to the same gym as him, packing heat. I don't go into any companies with a poorly endowed chief executive. Absolutely not. I'm way too insecure. If I do, I'll get me another lifted pickup truck. Get another lift kit. Get me another lift kit on that trimmer. Need a 1-ton pickup truck to commute to work, to my office. Give me a dually. Can you make it a long box dually, double bed? I want that thing to be about 40 feet long. When the call came in. We was out on patrol when the call came in. Oh, it was exciting. Yep, that's the micro wing gang. They're opening for Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys. Alabama State Fair. Oh, Billy Jack, you don't know that. You're just assuming. You know what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of me and your tiny wing. No, you're probably right, but don't let it get to you. I hate them. Oh, you guys are very susceptible to the power of suggestion. Oh man, you guys are fun. You guys are a fun group. Let's see. Dude ass faces here, guys. Legally, you cannot sue me because of this hat. You see it. NFAFEPO. Not for entertainment purposes or not funny. Not financial advice, for entertainment purposes only. NFAFEPO. Don't sue me, bro. Yeah, those are my lawyer. My lawyer gave me this hat, said, hey, you're good. You're fine. Say whatever you want. Yeah, my degenerate chat has no mods. Well, what do you want, a wrench? What are you angling for, a wrench, Jarrett? Your long hair, all the chicks ain't enough. Great Billy Jack is here. Premium of the option is here. The great premium of the option. I think he's commenting on Billy Jack's wang. Anyway, welcome, Mr. Premium of the option. Hope the fish are biting and your options are always going up and never getting called away. Or whatever. Maybe you want them to. Maybe you sold some cash secured puts, want to pick up some shares. What do I know? What do I know? All I know is I'm missing a great Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys concert. You get the Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys Christmas album. No Christmas songs on that bad boy. It's all about butt crack. It's all about splitting the atom, if you know what I mean. Rising dawn. Let's see. What can I do with the hips? I make up for it with the Billy Jack. He's making his pitch. He's making his pitch. This is his forum. He's agreed to have his dispute settled here in our forum, un poco mas. He is our Rusty Burrell. So I don't know what I was talking about. Yeah, super micro. I think the bottom is definitely in on this little turd, and also it's made a nice little base here off of this big fall. You know, it's had a good month and a half to stabilize. It's timing well coming into earnings. You have, 4 or 5, probably 4 weeks or less to the ER. 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Perfect time to start a little run, because I think people know this ER is going to be a lot better than the last one, but I think it could be shockingly good, because I think they have a huge project, or a big project that they thought they were going to be able to recognize last quarter that pushed into this quarter. So if last quarter was going to be, 7.5 and this quarter was going to be 10, maybe last quarter is 5 and this quarter will be 12. You don't know. But those projections they gave, I think they knew what projects they had, what revenues they're going to recognize, what the accounting looked like, what the change orders looked like and stuff. But some of that can get away from you and your timeline could slip. But the bottom line is the business, the demand is there, the product is there, the execution is there. You have Elon Musk announcing a huge new, addition to Colossus. They've traditionally used both Dell and SMCI extensively, but I think they really like SMCI on the cost, the speed. Really aligns with sort of how Elon Musk is, He doesn't want a lot of frills. He wants the thing to work. He wants the thing to be simple. He wants the thing to be low priced. Wants to take away and not add. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And I think that's what SMCI, they try to deliver the product you need, the lowest cost, the easiest maintenance. It might not be, the most dense processor, but look at the cost to own it. Everyone I've talked to, everything I've read said SMCI overall is going to give you the lowest cost. And you have to account for that in the speed of deployment. Because if it takes one company 6 months to build something and get it running versus another company a year or more, you're going to have a lot more costs just in, in the construction, in the time, in that extra rent, all those extra utility, all that stuff adds up. And then it has to be amortized over the life of the project. So it can have a lot of effect, the speed at which you deploy that and you get revenue coming back in. You don't want outflow, you want inflow. The sooner you're going to actually get that data center online, the sooner you stop sending money out and you start bringing money in. And I think that's the, value proposition with SMCI in a nutshell. We're faster, we're cheaper, and overall, this is going to cost you less than anybody else. Nobody's proven me wrong on that one, but they probably have. So anyway, what the hell is this? Okay, Sofi is only up 9 cents. Of course, they're just stepping on it. You see, this is, again, I go back to the same thing with IOVA. When I see very controlled, manipulated stuff, and Sofi has been there, maybe not as bad as like Tesla in the middle of, the last decade or later in the last decade, but this is a stock that I think it shouldn't have been a $4 stock. And, I think they grind the bottom. Why I keep saying, why do they bounce it off the same lows or just grind it along the bottom? It's not because institutions want to sell more shares at 4 and 5 and then run the stock up to 32. It's because they want you to sell there and they want to buy there. Anytime you see this price fixing, banging off the same lows in that channel, they're trying to get you to sell there. And that's the psychology of it. Now, you should see that channel and you should recognize that 7th low, that 7th test of the same low on SMCI at 27. You should buy that. It'd be up, 15% already in just a few days, or with SMCX, 30%. But you have to know what the charts actually mean, not what do they want you to think. It's like, oh my God, it can never go anywhere. It's a dead stock. Remember when all these jabronis, with all due respect to the Canadian fintech mafia, but they were all saying Sofi was a dead stock right before it absolutely took off. They were all, slightly souring on it, poo-pooing it. Even the great Steve, even the big sexy. America's answer to Fred Flintstone, or Canada's answer to Fred Flintstone. I assume Steve is Canadian. He is a member of the Canadian fintech mafia, but he could be an honorary member. I just assumed he was Canadian because of his giant head, boyish good looks. You know Tanner's Canadian. That Bowflex body and that mustache. Tevis did it great. Tevis's facial hair and rapidly changing appearance just absolutely freaking me out. Guys, let's go to the Tevis 3000 2.0.
I'm at capacity.
You're always at capacity, Tevis.
We're gaining traction.
We are gaining traction. I'll agree with you there.
That's a no-brainer.
That is a no-brainer. Let's come back, guys. I'd like to welcome the studio audience. Oh, my thing stopped working. I think I'm out of batteries. Bummer. The fart still works. The burp. All right. Let's bring back Tevis.
Let's really drill down on this.
I would love to. Can't afford the real Tevis in his team, so we've brought in the Tevis 3000 2.0 for a little in-depth analysis. Corporate jargon. Well, corporate speak. Only Tevis can do it. So where do I think SoFi is going? Just earnings is 3 weeks away. It's a very compressed timeline. So the time decay, if you will, the pressure I think the shorts are feeling and where they think this ER could be, I think this thing has to go at least up to 30 before the earnings report. Because this could be, I don't think this is going to be 18 cents, to be honest with you. They're calling for 11 to 12, I think. I think it can easily be 15. Because I think these changes, these positive changes in these high margin sectors and businesses, I think are accelerating so quickly nobody even gets it yet. These are brand new businesses. The growth at the beginning of these businesses, as they catch on, as they adopt, as people know about them, they're going to hit, an absolute, brush fire type of pace. Because they're so small, they're so young, you're going to achieve incredible growth on these for a couple of years. 1 year return on SoFi, 95%. And then there's a good article by Yanis, not to be confused with my Yanis, Yanis Zormpanos. So this is a good article, Why SoFi Technologies Pullback Matters, talking about this being very healthy price action. So returned 70%. I think it said 94%, and then 12%. These numbers are a little off, but the sentiment is right. Elevated valuation multiples place pressure on Q4 in 2026 execution. I don't think they have any pressure, any problem executing under pressure. Dilution and weak operating cash flows do remain key risks. I think the cash flows are, again, more structural to the business, the lending, because all the business segments are profitable. Even the general expenses, I think they've started to categorize more of those over time. The stock delivered around 70% returns, which I view as constructive consolidation rather than a breakdown. SoFi may push capital light revenue beyond 65% by 2026, already over 50%. People don't really get that. Fee-based revenue mix, you can see fee-based revenue, all other adjusted net revenue. You can see the fee-based revenue just, continues to march up very, very rapidly. It was holding around 25% in 2021, 2022, and 2023. 2024 jumped to 37%, and then last quarter 43%. So extremely rapid increase in that fee-based revenue. Fee-based revenue 2021, 2022, 23 to 24, and an annualized rate would be 1.6 billion. So you see the growth, is just absolutely crazy. 47%, 45%, 74%, and then that would be 50%. So obviously, as these businesses get bigger, they're not going to grow as quickly in terms of ratio or percentage, but the absolute growth is just wildfire. It's phenomenal. The bridge is not dependent on SoFi. The loan platform business itself brought in 168 million Q3 AR, exceeding 668 million. Also capital light and fee driven business. These two factors could potentially increase the contribution from 56% to 65% by 2026 with only moderate adoption. The mechanics of this are central to my bullish thesis. The reserves backing the stablecoin are held in cash in SoFi's federal bank account. This structure may lead to a level of security that eliminates both liquidity risk and credit risk for the reserves in a booming market. It is a claim that entities without a national bank charter cannot make. Also, as an entity dealing with the digital assets sector, the presence of such regulatory certainty and institutional security is a substantial differentiator. SoFi earns interest on stablecoin reserves held with the Federal Reserve under the assumption about 3.5%. SoFi USD balances worth a range of 2 to 5% of SoFi's approximately 33 billion deposit base would mean reserves ranging between 0.66 billion and 1.65 billion, approximately between 46 and 150 and 115 million. Important point is that the revenue is mainly focused on partnering incentives instead of being directly channeled to profitability. Because SoFi USD reserves are fully matched by an equivalent liability to stablecoin holders, they expand SoFi's balance sheet symmetrically without materially increasing credit risk, risk-weighted assets, or equity capital requirements. SoFi's monetization is more likely to come from transaction fees and B2B infrastructure revenue. The network effect, therefore, stems from volume and stickiness as each new partner increases transaction activity and fee revenue, while stablecoin usage anchors clients to SoFi's settlement and treasury stack. The street also has not yet integrated the potential growth from SoFi USD integration into SoFi's top line, as I see no positive change. Yeah, they're acting like the stablecoin doesn't matter yet. It's going to matter very quickly. I was actually listening again to Tevis's video on BMNR. He did like a really good half hour. It's a little, I mean, this isn't a criticism of Tevis, but it's a little bit dry and it's a little bit in depth and it's a little bit technical. But if you don't really understand Ethereum, the adoption, the accounts, the transactions, it's a very good video. I always recommend Tevis's channel, but I don't mean to take anything away from Tanner, but I think Tevis, for me, much like Tanner is the SoFi guy, I think Tevis is my BitMiner guy. Plus, Tevis made me a moderator of his channel in his infinite wisdom. So, you know, what can I say? Moreover, is like launching another product for its existing 12.6 million members. And the intention, SoFi USD is enables SoFi to be a stablecoin infra provider for banks, fintechs, enterprise levels. This is mostly a B2B at this point. It's enabling other businesses and other fintechs, other banks, transactions, settlements, all this stuff. And then it'll filter down, to the consumer side, payments, settlements, remittances, blah, blah, blah. SoFi expands SoFi's TAM largely. This expands SoFi's TAM largely. The stablecoin may also support settlement for card networks, retailers, other businesses seeking 24/7 transactions at lower cost. I won't go, read this whole article. I've already read enough of it, but the stablecoin business is a capital light and fee-based operation. It's derived revenue from cash transaction fees, interest spread on reserves without putting SoFi's own capital at risk in the same way a lending business does. I mentioned growing importance of capital light revenue and pointed out the financial services tech platform segment drive 50%. I'm not going to read all this, guys, but fee-based revenue mix, we already did this. Q4 earnings, why SoFi competes on regulation, not scale. SoFi, this is an interesting actual article. I read this I think I read this last night. SoFi USD launches in competitive environment where USDT and USDC are the leading stablecoins. A competitive advantage in the USDT and USDC stablecoins is size. The unique aspect about the launch of SoFi USD stablecoin is in its positioning as opposed to distribution. This stablecoin is bank-backed, a stablecoin created under a regulatory framework as opposed to the existing stablecoins in the marketplace. Unlike blah, 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 and blah, which issued crypto-native firms or private consortiums, SoFi USD is directly issued by a federally chartered bank. This means they are more focused on partnering with institutions who wish to harness the power of stablecoins rather than developing them in-house. And this goes along with SoFi's whole tech model, empowering other companies, not have to, reinvent the wheel. They could just outsource this to SoFi, cheaper, better, stay on top of things. Remittances focuses on compliance and speed of settlement, perhaps even a payment card network, exploring using stablecoins instead. The best case scenario isn't if you guys run a small business, these credit card fees are just insane. I mean, if some of the businesses we run, if we're on one of these fancy reservation systems, we could be paying 4% to these blood-sucking bastards. So I think SoFi credit card now, I know it's a long way down the road, but they could partner with others. I know, Discover did it, American Express did it, and I think if they could empower something that would, make credit card processing cheaper, more reliable, less fraud, this is how we're talking about becoming a top 10 financial institution in the decades to come. Q4 must outperform 70x forward PE amid repricing risk. Yeah, this is what we're talking about constantly, is the valuation, the multiples. I think they're not getting paid for the growth. I think they're not getting paid for the innovation. I think they're not getting paid for any of the execution. I think they're not getting paid for the consistency of the business, the quality of management, the diversification of the business, the fact that this business is going to do a lot better in a down market than a lot of these other fintechs. I don't think 2750. I mean, you have to look at it like this. Institutions just bought billions of dollars worth of the stock at 27.50. They're not going to buy all that stock at 27.50 if they don't believe fundamentally that this company is worth significantly more than 27.50 today. They're not going to overpay buying that much. If you think it's worth 20, why do you think they just bought billion and a half, 1.8 billion worth at 27.50? Because they don't know any better? Because it's the same companies that bought the lot? No, it's because they understand where this business is going. They see the numbers. They see the trends. They see the growth that's just unstoppable in up and down markets. They try to, the government tries to kill their business, during the COVID era. I'm not saying that was just like our government's fault, but maybe didn't handle it that well. But in any case, SoFi's execution, business model, management, adaptation, everything about this management has just impressed the hell out of me, all the way around. They keep their promises, they deliver, they know what needs to be done when, they know their priorities. They don't, try to be the flavor of the month. They don't try to pump the stock. They don't try to, hold investors' hands and treat us like children and say, hey, we need to make a strategic move. We need to raise money now because we need to fund the stablecoin reserves. We need to do whatever. We have business banking coming out. I trust Anthony Noto knows what needs to be done, knows when it needs to be done, and is going to get it done. He's not only a thinker, he's not only a planner, but the guy's a stone cold killer. They take that to the bank, baby. Call me Danny Shakes. And if you have to ask why, you deserve a full refund. Call me little Danny Cornbread DiCarlo, by the way, because I'm moist, I'm doughy, and I crumble under pressure. They call me Stock Karen because I'm a huge Karen. They call me Hurricane Lopez because I'm an absolute beast of a tennis player, even though I'm super fat. They call me MC Al Dente. They call me DJ Patchy Drizzle. My real name, of course, as you know, is Tabasco Rojas, former Montreal Expos relief pitcher. They call me the closer. Come in and close the door. Best known for walking in, winning runs in critical games. Oh, God, no, here comes Tabasco. Why is he bringing in Tabasco with the bases juiced? Guy hasn't thrown a strike since he was on the picket lines for the local SEIU. Oh, that was a hilarious union joke. Is that a strike joke there? And why are the guys from Cutlery Corner announcing this game? We're making it available. Is that a full dealer case of the cat's eye? Oh, my God. What are you going to do with 300 pocket knives? You still got those things in your closet because those guys sucked you in with their big mustaches. Is that a katana? We're giving away a katana. Holy mother monkey shit balls. Yeah, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. This level of street optimism. Am I still on this show? I have no idea. This level of street, I can't believe anybody watches. Very few people do watch, but this is horrible. This level of street optimism makes SoFi stock vulnerable to downside shifts in sentiment. The Q4 report and also Outlook 2026 now carry the burden of justifying SoFi's I don't think SoFi has a premium valuation when you talk about the growth. I mean, look at anybody else in this segment. You could argue maybe they're priced a little bit of a premium to like an Affirm, but you can't even compare the stock to a PayPal, and they won't compare it to a Palantir or a Hood who says, oh, those are tech businesses. Anthony Noto doesn't have long hair and a soul patch, fancy shoes, wears a simple windbreaker, just the top of his class in engineering, United States Military Academy, linebacker, standout student athlete, leader, handsome man, my biological father, just to name a few of his many accomplishments. Furthermore, these high valuations are set against a weak underlying profitability. This is okay. This is true, but they're scaling their way out of this. The operating cash flow, I think these concerns are overblown. I don't think they raised the money because of cash flow. I think they raised the money for stablecoin, for business banking. So the public offering complicates things. The offering was priced at $27.50 per share, close to the current price. Action strength of the balance sheet, additional 1.5, but increased the number of outstanding shares. So it's not, you're getting a portion of your shares bought out. That's what's happening. But the underwriter's option solution makes EPS growth more difficult to hit. I don't know that that's true, because it depends what you do with that $1.5 billion. If you're going to allocate that effectively and you're going to get effective return on capital, it could actually increase EPS. It just depends. It depends what you do with it. It's not the size of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean, my friends. The already high PE ratio must now be justified against a higher share count. I think it's even putting more pressure on SoFi to deliver high net income in Q4. I agree with that. Tons of pressure on management to deliver this quarter. SoFi USD reframes SoFi from a growth-dependent lender to a capital light. This is what I was saying earlier. It doesn't have to be away from a growth-dependent lender. The lending business is great. They make great net interest income. You can do all these other things and still do lending, and they do not negatively affect one another. I would argue, if anything, there's a positive symbiosis, if you will, like a leech or a sloth or a fat guy at a buffet. SoFi if adoption materializes, margins, cash flow, valuation logic all change. The key risk isn't demand, it's timing. Early traction could force a rapid repricing as the market shifts from. Could you imagine any other company? They come out with this stable coin. They're rushing back into crypto. This would be repriced already. But the market hates Noto. Turdman hates Noto. I don't know why he worked there. Goldman Sachs has really been on fire. It's like $900 a share. That was just in the fours not too long ago. Man, these bank stocks crushed. JP Morgan just went crazy. Bank of America, same thing. The stocks have all like doubled. It's just wacky. But people like bank stock. Banks make a lot of money. That's what I'm like. These are the same activities they're denigrating SoFi for. And they're still growing the loan business. I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's very profitable. Oh, they're growing a very profitable business rapidly? Pish posh. Oh, shame. Fuck you guys. Fuck you. How much more is SLS up pre-market, for God's sake? 12%. 50% off. That matches 50% off. Beat any price, you get 50% off. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. They got this thing, this thing runs up to 90. They push it back down to 85. It's running this little channel, little funnel gunnel. Let's see if it can break out of this little turd. So yeah, it's been, hitting some resistance here, kind of first resistance 92.5, and then final resistance, the final countdown about 94. Breaks through 94. We're off to 99. And I would say we're probably more than likely off to this 106 level, 108, 109. I think, and get just a little bit of, and they're talking about inflows coming back into Bitcoin, the whales, the new whales, institutions. There's just huge money flowing back into Bitcoin. I was just watching a good video with a good guy. I forget his name right now, but one of the crypto guys I watch. So I'm a strong buy Bitcoin, technical, fundamental setup, world events. People are like, well, oil's going to go up. Shouldn't have, the thing in Venezuela shouldn't have a big effect on crypto or big tech. I mean, big tech is looking very good. Everybody's talking about NVIDIA going to go up more recently. But I think the setup for crypto is good because I think it destabilizes governments. I think it gives people less confidence in different currencies. I don't think it necessarily gives more confidence in the US dollar. So if you think about political instability, you think about decentralization, that to me spells de-risking. If everyone around the world respects Bitcoin as a store of value and as basically a substitute for a currency, then I think you have a lot less risk than a currency in one particular place. Now, that used to be backstop was $1. I think to a certain extent it still is. But obviously countries like China, EU, they're sort of challenging that, dominance as the world reserve currency. And I think the idea was Bitcoin would be sort of another, of the death by 1,000 cuts for the dollar. But I don't think that's really going to happen. I think the U.S. economy is a lot healthier than people think. Now, the problem is we don't have the discipline to get our fiscal house in order at all. The last president to run a surplus was Clinton. And he did so with the, Republican Congress. They worked, together to actually do real things. Welfare reform, this stuff, that stuff. Of course, Hillary went big on healthcare, crashed and burned with those cankles. They didn't have cankle coverage. That's the problem. That was the problem with that plan. No cankle coverage. They would provide a free pantsuit. if you're over cankled. What's going on there? You sprain your ankle? Both ankles? All the way up through your calf? Like you have just another thigh for a calf and it just comes down. There's like no calf, no taper, no Achilles. It's just all cankle. Just looking like a big, what are those things they put on the chicken shawarma, like on that big spit roast? Just like a giant cankle. Like al pastor. What is that, a giant al pastor? No, that's my wife's lower leg. She has cankles. I mean, I'm not just limiting this to women. I have mean set of cankles myself in addition to some spectacular man boobs, but it's neither here nor there. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. I've been talking for a long time. What else you guys want to talk about? What's Billy Jack? Danny knows how to give me $1 to eat, but there's another $1 for Billy Jack. So, yeah, new was up. Bitcoin lately runs up into a midday morning sell-off. So it's like, yeah, it always sells off during actual trading session. That's what I've been noticing, dude ass face. But yeah, Billy Jack's a funny guy, man. I'll tell you. Funny how? Like I amuse you? Run on home and get your shine box. Billy Jack, a fan of chicken and hand jobs. Yeah, an 8-piece. 8-piece has gotten crazy. Arkansas, 20. Billy Jack, the chicken economy, the fried chicken economy, the fried chicken inflation. FCI, the FCI index. Billy Jack has hit on something. El Pollo Loco, any place that sells chicken. You get me a 12-piece meal with a couple of sides. You're talking $50, $60 for one grilled chicken. I mean, what the hell? That thing's $6 at Costco. What was that flame broiler cost $1 billion? What are these guys doing? I mean, it's not a filet mignon. It's a freaking chicken. Is chicken gone up tenfold that I don't know about? You're going to make me eat supermarket fried chicken? I can't. They only give you 11 herbs and spice. I need 12 herbs and spices. I need a guy in a white suit, a black bolo tie coming at me. Anyway, I was a Kentucky Colonel. Just an honorary title they bestowed upon me because I ate a dozen hot browns in one sitting. Can I have another virgin mint julep, please? And another half dozen hot browns. Hot brown is like a turkey sandwich with gravy on it. Oh, it's so delicious. Oh, it's delicious. I tell you. Oh, we all like chicken and hand jobs, Billy Jack. It's not unique to you. You know, we're all trying to do better. We're all assholes, so don't beat yourself up, man. We've all made mistakes. We've all been caught with a dead hooker or two in our trunk. Merely being human. Let's see, guys. All right, guys, I got to wrap this thing up here pretty soon. What did I want to talk about? Talked about SLS, talked about IOVA, talked a little bit about prop. Affirm, it's not a bad buy. I mean, I'd much rather buy Sofi, but if you want to diversify in fintechs a little bit, I would probably, not be too mad at you. I'd still sell Palantir here. I honestly don't think this chart, if it breaks down below this kind of 150 level, there's not much. If it breaks down below this level, I think, you're going to see it come down and then bounce off like 122, 123. And that would still be pretty crazy high market cap, I think near $300 billion. And I know it's a great company and, Amit and everybody else and Carp and, people love this thing. Peter Thiel, I think he was dumping a lot of his shares at 200. I mean, you can't price in 10 years of perfect execution. It's just too much. It's too much. Anyway, what else was this? Robinhood. Yeah, Robinhood, same thing. Came off like 155, sitting down at 115. Is it a buy here? It's looking to me like a SoFi, like this should bounce, but volume has gotten so weak. The multiple is still pretty rich, and I think they're going to be in big trouble in a recession. That's just You know, I know they made a lot of money. I know they took a lot to the bottom line. Hold on here 1 sec, guys. Hey guys, welcome and hello. It's Poco Moss. I got to wrap this thing up, like I said, but I'm not, I'm not necessarily. I just think SoFi, if you're gonna wait and see after earnings, and you think after earnings you're gonna get 20, I think you're kooky. I think that was the best. I think that dip to 23, then that last dip to 25 is the best you're gonna do. I think people that think this valuation is just crazy here are just not looking at their peers. One of the ways you evaluate a stock is to look at the peer group, look at the multiples. Bitminer, this thing's going nuts. It was up 15%, and then up another just 2.6% pre-market. It was up about another 5. I think this is going to do really well tomorrow. We'll see, guys. Bitcoin, Bitminer, I think crypto's due for a bounce. I think oil is going to do very well. I think gold is probably going to do well, but I think crypto could kind of regain sort of some of that parallel track with gold. Time will tell, guys. Thanks for watching. I really, really appreciate it. The great Billy Jack, appreciate you, buddy. You're in line for a wrench. You're in line for, of course, first ballot Poco Moss Hall of Fame. Richard Vaughn getting Jr., Premier the Option, Dude Ass Face. Don't have time to name everybody here, but Jarrett Matson, of course. Scott, appreciate you, Scott. Raider fan there. Who else was here, guys? James. Everybody else, guys, thanks so much. I appreciate it. I got to run. Peace. I'm out.